Guys, today we're going to do something a little different than our usual videos, but we decided that we're going to include all our outings, adventures, braais, beer making, working on the vehicles as we go, everything in our videos, so that you guys can see what we're involved with. So today, for those of you who don't know, our in-house beer van is a Land Cruiser 80 series with a Lexus V8 conversion motor, and we're having some troubles on the rear diff air locker that we're going to try and attempt to fix today, and we're going to walk you through on it. Let's go have a look at the diff. First, before we continue assembling the diff, of course we need a home brew so that we don't run dry while we're working. Okay, so we already pulled out the center portion of the diff, stripped it and pulled out the ARB air locker. Now this is a very old air locker. It's a RD02, which ARB replaced with the RD142. We stripped it, pulled it apart, and inside we found that it's got a plastic locker gear carrier, which is this part here, and actually found that that was the part that failed. Now with this air locker being discontinued, we can't order this part from ARB. They discontinued the part as well. So we decided to get it drawn up and 3D print a replacement part, which we hope will hold. We're going to assemble the air locker now again, and let's see if it works. Okay, so let's start by just washing all the parts, because we don't have a parts washer, so we're just using some brake cleaner that we will clean all the excess oil and dirt off. Now we didn't remove the locker wheel or the crown wheel from the locker. We didn't find it necessary because the gears still look good. It's just the plastic holder that we're going to replace. So by not removing any of the bearings or the crown wheel, it makes the replacement back into the center portion a bit easier. Okay, so the tricky part is now to get that's the locker gear, that's your side gear where your side shaft is running, and then the locker gear locks onto the outer gear there, and it's this plastic holder that's lifting that locker gear and releasing it again. So the tricky part is now to get that plastic holder in here again. First the side gear, we're going to give a bit of grease. Okay, as you can see in this position, your side gear is locked. Now the tricky part is to get this plastic holder in. Firstly, it's got its relief springs, goes in there. And then you need to pick up that gear and lock the plastic piece in place. So you want to get the gear on top over the spider gear. Home door. Like so, that your spider gear, your side gear is free running. So like I said, it's a bit tricky to get the locker gear where it's supposed to be before you can put the plastic housing back in play. Especially for us that haven't done anything like this before. Now the holder needs to go in and then twist to the springs. So like that. So now the springs are actually holding the plastic holder. So far so good for the printed model. Our side gear is free spinning, and then once you would engage the locker, it would press that down into the locking position. These springs are super strong, but it seems it might work. Okay, so now we need to put these side spider gears back in, and we're just gonna grease them a little bit between the gear and the shims. If you do strip your locker, don't lose your shims. They sit on the side of these spider gears and they can get lost quickly because you don't see them once they're there. Just a disclaimer, this is the first time we are attempting something like this. We are just brewers and petrol heads, so we like to try everything ourselves, and we believe that's the way we learn. So if we're doing anything wrong here, please don't judge us as experts. So when you put these spider gears, obviously this shaft that holds them in place has got a small hole that needs to line up with this locking pin. So just make sure you put it in that way. Okay, so that's assembled. All the spider gears are turning, our one side gear is turning, our holder is in place. So the last one is this side gear, our other axle gear, that we will also give a bit of grease on the wearing side. say, seems to be working. So my main concern with the 3D printed part is that these 4 releasing springs might be too strong for the plastic and break off the part again. This time around we printed the part in ABS plastic, and we might have to go for something like a polyfiber, which is closer to the original part, but we'll see if it holds. If it doesn't hold, we'll have to pull it apart and reprint in a different material. It's the side where your air housing comes on, and you'll see that that's a little air hole which allows the air to go through into this housing and push onto this plastic cage. So you would just want to make sure they are clean and actually allows air through. Like that. We'll just clean this seal nicely. So as you can see, the air pocket is clean, actually allows air through. It's obviously important to keep hydrated, which is more our field of expertise. The seal back in play. So it looks like our 3D printed part is slightly out on size, and that is giving us difficulty to get this housing back in, because it needs to go in into the 3D printed part, or well, into the plastic original part. And we are a bit out on size on the internal diameter here, whereas this one goes quite easily over. Okay, so we had a problem as we've cut away the video, where this inside diameter of the printed part was smaller than the original part, by less than 1 millimeter, but that made this top housing not fit inside of the part. So we had to work it, took everything apart again and have to work it with a pencil grinder to get it to fit. And we eventually got it to fit, and after assembly and now trying to put the top cover on, we realized that our printed part didn't last. So obviously it wasn't strong enough. We're gonna have to try again in a stronger plastic. This is obviously, as you can see, a bit too soft. So it might be actually the brake cleaner that we use that is eating into this plastic and making it brittle. I'm not sure. We're going to chat to the guys over at the 3D printing and see what we can do. But they did recommend that we should try a second part in polyfiber, not ABS. And yeah, we'll get that printed, and we'll do a second video where we show you guys the second attempt where we put that in. Okay guys, so obviously our first attempt at the 3D printed part failed. It's not the best news, but also not the worst, because we're not going to give up there. We're going to go at it again and print it in a different material and see if it lasts. And if it doesn't, at least we've got the 3D model drawing now, and we'll get it machined in a aluminium or some other material. Guys, keep on watching for the second video, and we'll show you the update on the next printed part and whether we succeed or not. Thanks for watching. Cheers.